Late last fall, Green Hill High School senior Gavin Cole died in a tragic accident. And while the news of his death saddened many here at Green Hill High, including his track and field teammates, it's what's happened since then that has provided even more hope and healing, not only for his family, but for those in desperate need of what Gavin was able to give. And that's the gift of life. In early December of last year, Gavin said goodbye to hundreds of Green Hill High School students, dedicated doctors, and caring nurses at TriStar Skyline Hospital in Nashville. It was his honor walk, designated only for those who give the gift of life. Since then, not a day has gone by that his family doesn't think of him often and recall their loving memories with him. Gavin's mother, Heather, and stepfather, Mark, now look out over the track where he once ran for the Hawks and the field he was scheduled to graduate on this May. The healing process has been justifiably and understandably slow.
The first month, I couldn't leave my house. I was afraid to leave my house. It was almost an irrational fear that he would come home and I would miss it. Even though logically I know he was never coming home again.
It's just so hard to come to terms with. Even now, walking into his room, nothing has changed. It's still sit out there, the bed is made. You expect him to come in and plop his suitcase down and start unpacking things.
Meanwhile, in Murfreesboro, there's a woman who doesn't let a day go by without feeling extreme depths of gratitude for Gavin's gift. Her name is Angela, and she is the recipient of Gavin's heart.
I thank God every moment I wake up and open my eyes, because I know it's because of him that I'm still here, and it's a blessing.
Angela sustained major heart failure last November following a massive heart attack. Doctors told her a heart transplant was necessary, but the wait for one and the proper match could take several months, even years. But in the end, she only had to wait a few days. Gavin ultimately saved her life.
I wasn't expecting it that soon, because they told me that the average length of a person waiting on a heart is like 5 years. And he said, I think we have a match. He said, I'm gonna go and check the heart out, make sure it's a match, and if it is, we'll go ahead and put it in. So everything happened so quickly, I didn't even have time to process everything that was happening to me at the time, but it was extraordinary to say the least.
But this story gets deeper with an uncanny connection that hits very close to home, as Angela explains.
My daughter, who's an RN, and she works at St. Thomas Rutherford, was on her way home. Well, actually at the time she was working at Skyline, and was on her way home from work and came up on an accident. It was a motorcycle accident. So she stopped to render aid to the gentleman that had been hurt. And they developed a little conversation, exchanged numbers and stuff like that, because he was appreciative of her help. And it turns out to be one of Gavin's teachers. So when Gavin had his accident, my daughter had posted something on Facebook about me needing a heart, and he seen it. And he told my daughter, he called, reached out to her and said, I think your mother's gonna get a student of mine's heart, because he was in a car wreck and didn't survive his injuries. Actually, Gavin's grandmother sent a card to St. Thomas West, and they called me and said, would I be willing to receive it? And I was like, oh yeah, I wanna know. So they forwarded me the card, and she put her number in it, and I immediately called her. And I wanted to know, I said, is your grandson, was he a track runner? Because Gavin ran track. She said, yeah. I said, did he live in Tennessee? And she said, yes. I said, I have his heart. She said, I know. But then that gave confirmation to me that, yes, it was Gavin's heart that I received. So it was really weird how things worked out and the timeline in which it worked out for me to receive his heart.
Last weekend, Gavin's family and Angela, along with Angela's daughter, Tania, who's a nurse, would meet for the very first time.
I just hugged her. I got up and just hugged her and held on to her. And she and I both cried for a moment, and we sat down, And we just started sharing stories.
It was very emotional for me and my daughter and for his family as well. But I feel like that we have a bond together now. And now that we've met and been able to talk and things, that we'll keep in touch for always. Because like I said, we're connected. And we're like family. We have to be now.
To make the moment even more powerful, Tania brought her nurse-issued stethoscope so that Gavin's mother could hear her son's heartbeat one more time.
You know, meeting her and hugging her and listening to his heart. And that's how she refers to it, as Gavin's heart, not hers. She's an absolutely amazing woman. And I guess if you could reach out and handpick the one individual in the universe that your son's heart is going to go to, she definitely would have been it.
It was a moment that was extremely special for both families. But Gavin's gifts stretch far and wide. In total, there have been 5 recipients of Gavin's organs, according to a letter sent to his mother back in February. The decision to donate was entirely Gavin's, according to Heather.
When he had gotten the paperwork to go down and get his new driver's license, that's when he decided to do it. And he came home and he had that paper driver's license and he said, "Mom, look what I did. I'm an organ donor." I didn't have any, and at first you think, well, gosh, I know I am, but it's not.
For him to have a concept of that.
Yeah.
Really remarkable.
It is at such a young age.
While organ donation is a complete and total choice for any individual, Angela is beyond thankful that Gavin chose to give.
I think of Gavin a lot, you know, and I'm sure he's looking down and I'm sure he's proud of what he was able to do, you know, because it not only me, but 4 other people that received his organs that are walking around with a better quality of life now. And of course, I received the main organ, which is the heart. So, like I said, there's no words to express the great gratitude I feel for not only him, but his family for raising such a great son.
It was the heart of a hawk that saved a life and helped several others in desperate need. And while the healing process continues for Gavin's family and friends, they can keep moving on, knowing that Gavin's finish line in this life has provided a ray of hope for many others.
Yes, that makes sense.
Your hair smells good.
Heather carries Gavin wherever she goes, from the charms on her necklace with his initials and even his fingerprint. She will always remember the joy he brought to this world, and Angela will never forget what Gavin has done for her. Thank you to Heather, Mark, and Angela. We send you all much strength, hope, and love. I'm Bart Barker with Wilson County Schools.